This episode of Trifles is made possible by listeners like you who support us on Patreon and Substack. To learn more, go to patreon.com/trifles or trifles.substack.com.
Welcome to Trifles, a weekly podcast about the Sherlock Holmes stories.
It is, of course, a trifle, but there is nothing so important as trifles.
Yes, there were 3 gables, 5 orange pips, and a sign of 4, but there are hundreds of other details to pick apart in the stories.
Pray, be precise as to details.
You know the plots, but what about the minutiae? Have you ever stopped to wonder about how much money Holmes actually collected from the Duke of Holderness? Or why Watson constantly had to read the telegrams to him?
You are very inquisitive, Mr. Holmes.
It is my business to know what other people don't know.
Scott Monty and Burt Wolder will have the answers to these questions and more in Trifles.
The game's afoot.
Episode 461, The Tall Man. Hello, and welcome to Trifles, the Sherlock Holmes podcast where we get into the details in the Sherlock Holmes stories. I'm Scott Monty.
I'm Burt Wolder.
Burt, you seem a little taller than usual today, even though this is audio.
Well, that's because I've got my shoulders back and my head right centered on my body and my knees slightly bent, and I'm just sitting here in my track clothes, ready to go, ready to go.
Goodness. This is sounds like an episode of The Three Students. Please don't leave any doughy clay on the desk, whatever you do.
It was Curly who did it, wasn't it? In the Three. No, certainly.
Yeah. Well, this is one of our episodes where we talk about the Apocrypha of Sherlock Holmes. This is the 7th in our series, if I'm counting correctly. We have one more to go. So if you've been following along, thank you. This is the last episode of the month, which means we'll have a drawing for a free back issue of the Baker Street Journal. We will select one random lucky winner from all of our financial supporters, which means you can get on board for the next month if you're not already on. All you have to do is support us on Patreon or on Substack. We've got links to both of those in the show notes. What that gets you is an ad-free experience on the podcast and bonus material from time to time, as well as being entered for this monthly drawing. So if you would care to support us in either of those ways, we would appreciate it. It helps us put out more great Sherlock Holmes content for listeners just like you. Well, as I said, this is the Apocrypha of Sherlock Holmes. That is, stories that were not necessarily in the original 60 stories, but that could potentially be counted as Sherlock Holmes stories. And this one, well, this is a little different. I think this is going to be our shortest one yet. Huh. We did have a short one earlier in the year. That was... oh, goodness. The Field Bazaar was a short one.
Yeah.
And then How Watson Learned the Trick was another short one. But this, I think, this is the shortest. And why is that, Bert? Why is the Tall Man the shortest?
Well, I was going to ask you about that. No, it's because it doesn't exist as a story. It exists as something that was found among the papers of Sherlock Holmes, and it's just really an outline. It's just a sketch, a little sketch.
The papers of who?
The papers of John Watson. I mean, Arthur Conan Doyle.
There you go. I knew you'd
Give me another cup of coffee.
Yeah, the papers of Conan Doyle. This first came to light in, I guess it was a biography by Hesketh Pearson.
Yes.
In 1943.
Yeah.
The
biography that was hated by Conan Doyle's sons, because basically Hesketh Pearson wrote that the reason Conan Doyle was so successful is because he was an everyman and he knew what people wanted. And he was, that didn't fit with Adrian and his brother's view of their father as quite an exceptional an inspiring person. And so they immediately took to getting another biography of Conan Doyle written.
That was by John Dixon Carr, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And they oversaw that one scrupulously.
Yes.
And unscrupulously. But this, I mean, that's an interesting discussion point. Conan Doyle as an exceptional individual and as an everyman, or at least with the ability to have a view as an everyman. I mean, let's consider his origins. Conan Doyle came from a fairly modest family. I would say thoroughly middle class. If we were to think of them in today's era, they weren't upper middle class by any stretch of the imagination, but they weren't lower class either. So from that perspective, he was kind of an average citizen, but he did manage to make something of himself as a man of letters, as a man of science, as a sportsman. There were lots of aspects to Conan Doyle that did make it very clear that this was an exceptional man. However, I don't think he ever forgot his humble origins, and his ability to write the way he did, through the eyes of John Watson in particular, made it very clear that he related to the average man.
Well, he was a great writer, and I think that's why Hesketh Pearson was chosen to do that first biography, because Pearson was basically, if I remember correctly, Pearson was an actor, he was a director, but he had quite a reputation as a biographer. He had done biographies of Shaw and Dickens, I think, and so he was viewed by whoever figured out that Pearson should be writing this biography of Conan Doyle as, oh yes, let's get Pearson. I mean, look, he's written about George Bernard Shaw and Charles Dickens. He'll do a lovely job on Arthur Conan Doyle, and why not? And I think the Conan Doyle's sons found out why not. So there you are.
Oh. And the brothers at the time would have been Dennis and Adrenaline.
Adrenaline, yes.
The high-powered Adrian, known as Adrenaline Conan Doyle, to Edgar Smith from the Baker Street Irregulars. Well, the footnote here, and this comes from the Sherlock Holmes Reference Library edition of the Apocrypha of Sherlock Holmes. The footnote says, found among the papers of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle by Hesketh Pearson and published in Conan Doyle, His Life and Art in 1943, Pearson opined that Conan Doyle, quote, had bought the plot from someone else, end quote. Do you think that may have been the offending line, or, there were probably many offending lines in the book, but do you think that sensibility may have set off the Conan Doyle sons?
Oh, well, I think they were generally unhappy about the whole book. And I think I read it a while ago, well, actually more than a while ago, but my memory is this was sort of his theme, that Conan Doyle was, this everyman rather than this Superman. Now, I could be misremembering it, but I think that's indicative. There's a lot we don't know. I mean, you've made clear all the things we do know. Richard Lancelyn Green said, there's really no evidence to show that it was written by Doyle, and there's no internal evidence in it to suggest that it was written by Doyle. It wasn't in his hand, I don't think. It wasn't in his handwriting. There's no dated manuscript. There's no publication intention. We don't know that the outline was his own idea, a sketch left incomplete, or something sent to him by somebody. So it's sort of in this gray zone, and it's you can tell why it would have why probably Conan Doyle would have had a vague resonance with it, because we should sort of describe it. So what's going on here in this little sketch is that this young woman visits Holmes because her uncle has been found shot dead in his bedroom, apparently through an open window. And the woman's fiancé or suitor is arrested and suspected because he had a quarrel with the uncle. There's a revolver in his house, and the bullet matches the one in the uncle's body, and he owns a ladder. And That's the only ladder in the village. This is a village where nobody is getting up on the roof to do anything. And there are footmarks of a ladder beneath the window, and there's soil on the ladder. And of course, the woman is completely unconvinced, and she goes to Sherlock Holmes, I think. And Holmes and Watson investigate. And for some reason, Holmes wonders if something could be hidden someplace, and they wind up looking into a well, and they find a pair of stilts. And Holmes reasons that the ladder marks might have been faked, and because the ladder would have left a slanted mark in the ground, but the impressions were vertical, because of course this person on stilts only stepped once. I mean, he just had perfect balance and control and never moved from foot to foot, just stepped once, actually only about 20 inches apart, and made these. Anyway, there are these stilt impressions, and what happens is that the fiancé or the suitor is convicted, and Holmes comes up with this idea to get an impersonation of the murdered man, and they take an actor, put him up on stilts, and he stands in the window of the suspected real killer, who, because he's guilty anyway, confesses immediately. And that's kind of what's in it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well,
well, and you can tell what it might have appealed to Conan Doyle. I mean, what appealed to Conan Doyle is, okay, there's some evidence that everybody sees, but Holmes sees something different. It's the direction of the marks. And there's this scene where, confronted with the image of the man he killed, the real murderer confesses everything. And that, is sort of gothic, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's it. So you can tell why nothing happened with it, because
I was going to say it's a very thin plot, and yeah. I was even questioning the internal timing of it as well. They traced the user of the stilts. They said nothing had been discovered. At the inquest, the young man was found guilty of murder.
Yeah, I was fast.
Holmes is convinced of his innocence. In these circumstances, as a last hope, he resolves a sensational stratagem. He goes up to London, and returning the evening of the day when the old man is buried, he and Watson and the detective go to the cottage of the man that the girl suspects, taking with them a man whom Holmes has brought with him from London, and he was in disguise to look like an old man. Now, I don't know anything about the burial customs of Victorian or Edwardian England. How long was the old man laying around for before they put him in the ground, versus how quickly would they have actually convened and concluded an inquest? Would an inquest be happening while the body was almost still warm?
Well, I think it depends. The only thing I know about inquests in England in the Victorian age are the recreations and things that I've read, where you've got a magistrate with pince-nez and a pen, and a balding magistrate at a table with, a bunch of villagers grumbling. And those things, at least as they're dramatized, tend to happen, relatively quickly. But like you, I'm really skeptical.
Yeah, it seems I don't
know why he would not have been buried before the inquest.
Right. Yeah. That was my thinking.
Yeah.
But the body goes fresh into the ground, and Holmes shows up with this actor in disguise. They gave him a pair of stilts, and his face appears outside the first story window of the bedroom where the suspect was staying. So, in some ways we have remnants of, the Creeping Man, Wisteria Lodge, the Blanched Soldier, these strange faces at the window in an hour when folks would have least expected it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The Blanche soldier connection. But, also some of the cases of Sherlock Holmes are less, how do I want to say this, less...
Good?
Less
convincing?
Yes, convincing is a good word. Less convincing than others. For example, you mentioned earlier the three students. Now here's a case that really revolves around the height. There are three people, but one is tall enough to have seen through the window.
Yeah.
And pencil shavings, really. And marks of clay that are left on a carpet.
Yeah.
And, from all this, Holmes puts things together. This is even lighter than that. This is a perpendicular mark in the soil rather than a slanted one. And why on earth anyone who wanted to kill someone would go to the trouble of putting on stilts and then standing up and then humping over to wherever they were going, wonk, 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 and not falling over? I mean, why? If he's going to go to the trouble of putting soil on this fellow's ladder, why didn't he just steal the ladder? And I don't know. Anyway,
that's a good point. Well,
it's very improbable,
It is, but you couldn't very well sneak around town with a ladder under your jacket.
But stilts? I mean,
well,
stilts
sure,
are not...
you can. They can be collapsible, and you can throw them into the well, as they say. Yeah. I'm just thinking of like three raccoons under a trench coat.
This is starting to sound a little bit like Wile E. Coyote in the Acme Company. I say there, Hesketh, you haven't received a package from Acme, have you, of collapsible stilts lately? Watson, we must immediately go to the Acme Company in Exeter to find out. If they have any stilt customers.
All you have to do is look for the brick wall that has the tunnel painted on it.
That's right.
And that's your path to the suspect.
And excuse me, but why would the stilts be there anyway? I mean, tell me, Leonard, what hobbies have you taken up? Well, I haven't done very well on the cello, but I'm thinking about stilts walking. Margaret, what do you think about stilts? Margaret?
Oh, my God. So,
why would they be there, in the first place? I mean,
one of the things I was wondering about as I was reading through this summary, because really it's a plot summary. It's not a full blown out story, was if the suspect approached the window on stilts and there was soil there where the prints were found, how is it possible that he stepped onto the soil and made it look just like a ladder impression? And aside from the angle at which they went into the soil, I'm thinking there must have been other steps in the soil that would have indicated the approach. Otherwise, it must have been a very narrow strip of soil. Now, the plot summary says NB, that's nota bene, the soil was a strip beside a gravel path on which the stilts left no impression. How convenient was that? Yeah. We've thought of everything here. Except a good plot, evidently.
It's, the basic plot. The murder, does seem to be impossible. And the odd thing, of course, is that if the fiancé really had done this, or the suitor really had done this, the issue is, of course, how he got into the house to get up to the bedroom to shoot the old man. And there would be, details around the wound and where it entered and where the bullet went and so on and so forth. And that isn't addressed here at all. I mean, the idea here is that the real murderer comes in through the window and sort of plugs this guy, plugs her father.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. We know that Conan Doyle found plotting to be one of the most challenging parts of writing the Sherlock Holmes stories.
Yeah.
He says that, frequently, coming up with the plot. And so, basic plot of, sort of a very certain conclusion by a detective. Ladder, soil, gun. And the gun, had this suitor's initials on it, although he claimed not to own it. But it was found in like a hall table or something. So you've got the weapon, you've got the bullet, you've got the ladder, you've got the suitor, you've got the soil on the ladder. That all seems very conclusive. And I think that would have appealed to Conan Doyle. But, I don't know.
Well,
I'm not sorry it was never written by Conan Doyle into a story.
Exactly. Well,
I say, Holmes, where did you learn to put on those stilts? The same place you learned to juggle, Watson.
Oh, boy. Well, speaking of high wire acts, we are going to bring out the prize wheel here. And
hooray!
We're going to see who is going to win that monthly drawing that gives you a free back issue of the Baker Street Journal. So stay tuned as we give it a big spin. And it goes around, eventually landing on number 30. And that is Danny Petty. Danny, congratulations. We'll send you a back issue of the Baker Street Journal. Okay, well, if you would like to have a chance to win a back issue of the Baker Street Journal, just join us on Patreon or Substack. Links are in the show notes. Until next time around these parts, this is just a trifle.
It is, of course, a trifle, but there is nothing so important as trifles.
Please join us again next week for another installment of Trifles. Show notes are available on SherlockHolmesPodcast.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and be sure to check out our longer show, I Hear of Sherlock Everywhere, where we interview notable Sherlockians and share news of the Sherlockian world.
You've taken my breath away, Mr. Holmes.
Did I really do remarkably badly?
Yes.